All right, cool. We got our recording together and we're going to do an exercise and then we're going to go back and again review back over stuff as we go through the exercise. And I'm going to be asking y'all questions. So respond if you don't want to, if it takes too long for someone to give me an answer, then I'll go ahead and keep moving forward. So right now, we're going to start off with the exercise here. So I'm going to open this up. Here we go. Y'all can see that? Y'all see my screen?
Yep, I see it.
Okay. Yep. All right, here we go. So 4.9, exercises, data, and variables. Exercises appear regularly in the book, just like the concept checks. These exercises will check your understanding of topics in this chapter. They also provide good practice for the new skills. We include a solution to some, but not all, of the exercises so that you can check your own work after you practice. As with any learning opportunity, take it seriously and give every exercise a fair shot before peeking at the solution. Our solutions may not look exactly like yours, but that's okay. And there's often more than one way to solve a problem with code. You don't need to show proof of completing the exercise to pass. So do them for your own benefit. And if they're hard or you get some answers wrong on the first try, keep going. Make sure you understand that. Keep going. Your future self will thank you. Doing these exercises are so important. Now I'm gonna do this first exercise. I think next week I'll do the studios instead, because that's something we can record the studios, but the exercises are for y'all. And I don't want to make too many videos of us doing the exercises because people will Google this and launch code and they'll find them. And then they'll just use what we're doing and not try to exercise on their own. But I'm going to do this exercise, go through this exercise walkthrough with y'all, and we'll do it so that you can kind of get an idea of how to use your exercises, because it's so important that you practice. Keep going over it over and over and over again till you get it. So here, if you're following me along with me in the book, I'm going to open up the Replit link. And then I am going to split my screen. And I am going to fork this. All right, and I'm gonna make this smaller because I don't need that. And here we go. It said declare and assign the variables here. Okay, give me 1 second. I had a sneeze coming on and it didn't happen. All right, so here we go. Let me ask y'all a question. You see right here, it says declare and assign variables here. So this is what we call a comment, right? You see that comment on line 1. And when we do / the compiler can't read it. It doesn't see it. It knows to ignore comments. In the beginning of your code, it helps to put comments in your code to kind of give you an idea of what your thought pattern is. That's the reason why we use comments. Now, when we get over into testing, we do testing, right? TDD, test to do the comments for us. And so it's like self-documenting that way, because one of the problems with writing comments in your code, 9 times out of 10, they don't get updated. And so you really don't want to keep comments in your code like this. You rather put your comments in your test. That way, the test tells you what you were doing, because that's all you're doing is you're writing functions to perform some type of action. But here, we're going to use these comments to kind of help guide us, okay? So here, line 1, we have a comment, declare and assign variables here. So we're going to assign our variables up under this comment. And then when we get to comment number 2, we'll work with that one. But let's look at this here. Now, I want y'all to participate in this. So here, I'm going to use the information given below about your space shuttle to complete the exercise. All right. Now, you're working on the job. You're here as a developer, and we're going to give you a criteria, right? We call acceptance criteria, and we have our stories. And one of the things that I want to help y'all understand is how sprints work and how agile works and what the ceremonies are. And so we're going to go over those things as we go on, as we learn, and I'm going to come with that approach. So here, let's look at here. This is giving me some specs right here. Notice here, I have the word data and value. Okay, and then so when you think of the data and value, remember what you've already learned. Anybody here, can y'all explain to me what the data and the value means here? What is this telling us, right? When you think about it, what is the data? What is the value? I want you to think like the compiler. And when you see these kind of things, what should you be thinking? And we already gave you an example on line 2.
Object and method.
No, because data is going. Now look here. The first one says name of the space shuttle. What did we do over here? What is that called? What is this called right here? You see, let me get my annotations out. That's probably going to help out. All right. Y'all see my screen?
Yes.
What is that called right there?
The variable.
There we go.
Yeah.
So that's the variable, right? Shuttle name. This word data right here, what does that represent?
Information.
And all of this is what are those?
Oh, variables.
They will become variables, right?
Okay.
So you want to pick up on this because when we give you instructions, a lot of times when we get into the assignment, we say things and there are clues on how to solve the problem. But if you don't understand what the clues are telling you, you miss it, right? Now, let's go over here. That's value, right? What does the value represent? It represents all of this stuff right here, right? Right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
What is this called right there? I just underlined it in my Replit.
Data type.
Yeah, it is a data type. But what kind of data type is it? I know they're like a face, but.
Okay. I mean, are you trying to identify whether it's a string?
There we go. And what kind of string is it? There's nothing in it, right? So we call it
an empty string.
There we go. But that's a value. So remember, oh man, can y'all see me? Okay, my screen blanked out for a second. This right here, what is that called?
Oh, yeah, variables are containers to hold value.
There we go. So
yeah,
it's holding the data. So right here, this variable right here named shuttle name is holding. The mouse is holding the value. So here, over here in our instructions right here, what we're telling you, we're giving you information on how to complete the exercises. So we're giving you the blueprint, the roadmap, right? So what is this called right here that I'm pointing to?
That assignment operator.
There we go. Not an equal sign. And remember, everything to the left of an assignment operator is
an object.
it will be an object, true. But simplest form, a variable. Because it won't technically be we won't know it's an object until we put that dot behind it.
Okay, so everything to the left of the assignment operator is a variable.
That's right. And everything to the right is a
value.
That's it. Now, understand. So that makes sense?
Yes.
So understand, we talk about expressions too, right? Expressions gives you a value. An expression, we may have a variable that has an expression that's going to equate to a value. In the end, variables hold values, right? That makes sense? All right, let me do this. So we make sure we understand this. So if I come over here, let me get out of this. Get back to my mouse. So if I come over, so right now we have an empty string. So what if I do this? What is this called right now?
Concatenation.
Well, think about it again. Well, your plus sign can act as concatenation, and it can act as a start with an A. It's math. It's an addition.
Addition, yeah.
If you see the plus operator, or if you see that with numbers, you know it's a mathematical operation. If I did this right here, let me go ahead and clear that, get this back over to my mouth. If I do this right here, then it's going to be concatenating, because 5 inside of the string, inside of the quotes, is a string now.
Yeah.
And the plus now is going to concatenate. Now, how do I know this? Let's do, if I say the word print, what should you be thinking?
Display, console log.
There we go, console log. And then, so I want to pass in shuttle name, right? But I want to know what shuttle. Let's spell that right. Okay, so I wanted to print out what the shuttle name is. So now, if I print this out, think like the compiler. What is the outcome going to be? What are you going to see down here in my console down here?
So we should see 55.
Okay, why? Explain.
Well, we know that 5 in parentheses is a string. So it's going to print 5. And then we know that 5 that's yellow is actually a number.
And so
instead of doing addition, it's going to print the string 5 plus the number 5.
Right, so it's going to concatenate.
It's going to concatenate, yeah.
We go.
Okay.
That's correct. Now, if I take this off, what's going to happen?
It should add it.
There we go. Now, let me do this. Let me get it back over here. This right here is called an expression that gives back a value, that equates to a value. The value is 10. The expression is 5 plus 5, which becomes what is being held inside of the shuttle name. So 5 plus 5 as a expression is not being stored in shuttle name. The value 10 is stored in shuttle name. Just like the string 5 concatenated with the number 5. The string 5 plus 5, that's the expression. But what's actually stored in this variable is the value that the expression creates. That makes sense?
Mm.
All right,
Okay, so say that last part again.
okay. This is why we want to understand expressions, because this could be very confusing, trying to understand what an expression and a value is. Right. Now, remember, variables, they hold the values, right? Mm-hmm. So shuttle name is only holding the value. That's why we get that 10 right there. 5 plus 5 is an expression that equates to a value.
Okay, so the outcome of the expression is the value.
Or what you evaluates to. So if I put 5 inside of quotes plus 5, the number is going to concatenate. It doesn't store 5 plus 5. It just stores the value, what it equates to. So like you said, another way to say your outcome, so 5 plus 5, what it does, the compiler goes in and it knows that those are two numbers. It adds them together and it stores the value inside the variable. So all you're going to get back is the value. You're not going to get the expression 5 plus 5. You're going to get what it equates to.
Okay, so yeah, I understand it. It's just,
you're trying to get your head around it, right?
Yeah, comprehending it, because so the variable and the wording, so so I know this is the variable shuttle name. This assignment operator.
Okay, so let me do this for you.
Yeah.
I'm going to abbreviate it. So we know that's a variable.
Right.
This right here, and I'm just going to put AO for us, short for assignment operator. Mm-hmm. And then this right here is what we call, we'll just put EX, an expression that equates, let's just say EQ, to I think that looks like an A. Mm-hmm. Val.
Okay.
I know it looks great, but I'm writing with a mouse. So let's look at the anatomy here. We have a variable, which is shuttle name. This could be whatever you want it to be. It just got to be descriptive. Well, it says right here in our example, in our instructions, name of the space shuttle. So we just said shuttle name. It was originally an empty string because we're going to give it a name. And here's the name right here that they want us to give is determination. But that's a value. You need two or more things to make it an expression. So let's go over here. Let's go back. Let me clear this real quick and we're going to come back to this. So I'm going to go back here. And I think, where is it at evaluating a variable? I think it is here. Let's see. Does it tell us what the expression is here? If not, we can always Google it. All right. I don't know if it's going to tell me here. Variable. I don't know exactly. I think we're using expression. We talked about expressions. And, let me do this.
I think 4.5 talks about what an expression.
That's where it is?
I think so, yeah.
All right, let me go to 4.5. We can also use our search up here too.
Oh, okay, yeah.
There it is. So we'll use your search in here to help find. So expressions and evaluation. An expression is a combination of values. You see it? This is why over here, let me get mine, draw a 2 out. This is why I said 5 plus 5 is an expression. And it says the value is the combination of values, variables, operations, and calls to a function, an expression. So it's not just only here, anything that's a combination. So values, and the reason why we're using this one as because this is the simplest form, is 5 plus 5. That's an expression. And it tells us that down here. We don't have to put it in a variable. We could have just did a console.log 1 plus 2, 1 plus 1, and it gives us back the output. And so it says expressions can be thought of as a formula that is made up of multiple pieces. So if I just do one, like determination for the name or the shuttle name, that's the value right there, because that's what's being stored in the variable. And when I do a console.log shuttle name, it'll give me that name. But if I do determination plus something else, which we'll see that in a minute, it's going to give me back that concatenation, because that's the expression. So remember, expressions is a combination. That's a good word to remember. Whenever you see a combination of something, think expressions. That makes sense? Everybody on the same, we're on the same page? All right. Forget it. Gotta get back to my notes. All right, so let me go ahead and clear this, and let's get back to the exercise. All right, so we're getting back to the exercise. So I wanted y'all to see that. All right, so here, we get back over here to my empty string. That's what they gave us, right? They gave us that. And it's telling us the value should be determination, right? So I'm gonna come over here and I'm gonna put determination in there. Remember, for it to be a string, it has to be in quotes. So now when I run it, I get determination. So what happens if I do this? Let me do this. Plus, let me do that. Notice here, I put a double quote in there. What's gonna happen? What is there going to be a problem here? Will I get an error?
I don't think you should.
Okay, can you explain?
Because there are two separate strings.
But one has double quotes and the other one has single quotes.
Right. But they're not within the same syntax.
Okay, or the same basically value, right?
Yeah, the same value, yeah.
So it's going to work. So this is called an expression. Let me go ahead and underline that for those that are watching this video. This is an expression because it has a combination. That makes sense, right? We're on the same page. I follow it. Any questions? That makes sense. I want to make sure.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
So if this is now an expression, what was determination when it was just determination alone? Was that just a value?
That's right. Because remember the rule. Only values are stored in the variable. So, and the reason why this is just a value, because notice when I did the expression, I got quotes, I got a plus sign, and all that I wanted that expression to do, which is a combination, was to give me the value. Here's the value, determination T, right? That's the value that got stored inside the variables. Remember, variables are just storage containers.
Yeah, okay.
And it only can store values. It doesn't give you the actual expression.
So when you got more than one value assigned to a variable, that's when it becomes an expression.
Well, what makes it an expression is a combination of different things. Okay. Now, check this out. Let's look at it like this. What did I just put around determination? Let me do this again.
Brackets.
And what do brackets, square brackets, mean in JavaScript? Have you got to that point? You probably haven't got to that point yet.
No.
This is an array.
Yeah, an array, yeah.
So I can have multiple data types in an array, but I just got to separate them by commas. So how many values or items do I have inside of this particular array? How many do I have?
3.
All right, I have 3. I have a string, I have a number, and I have a Boolean. And so if I print this out, I should get all 3 of these, right? Inside of an array. And I know it's a string. And you notice inside the array, it printed out everything when I just wanted to do the shelter name. It gave me the whole entire value. So this is considered a value because of those brackets.
Okay.
That's a value.
Okay.
But it has 3 different items inside of it. That's why you want to understand expressions. Because here I have an array that has 3 different items inside of it.
Right.
Array starts with 0 index. It starts with the 0 index. And so if I go ahead and I do a type of here, this is going to tell me it's an object, because everything in JavaScript is an object, except, do y'all remember?
Hold on. Primitive data types.
That's right. And do you know why primitive data types are not objects?
Because they're not mutable. They're immutable.
Okay, they can't be changed.
Can't be changed.
What's another way? What's primitive? Another? Go ahead.
They don't have methods or properties.
There you go. And when we get into the object section, this is going to make a little bit more sense. Arrays have methods and properties. That's why it's an object. Makes sense? But now if I do this right here, with that by itself, what is type of shuttle name going to be now?
String.
Why is that?
Because of for one, the quotation marks, right, gang?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
So it is a string. So basically what's being stored in the shuttle name now is a string, which this is a primitive data type by itself. But once I put it inside the shuttle name, I can add a method to it, because really it does become an object in the end, right? That's the thing that welcome. And I'm gonna show you, just give you an example. You haven't learned about for loops yet, but I'm gonna do an example real quick, just so you can see what I'm talking about. And when you're new to this, go ahead and I always like to do what I call my boilerplate or my skeleton when you're new to it. When you get used to it, you don't have to do it. But in the beginning, you try to learn what the boilerplate of stuff is. So I'm gonna say let I, and I'm gonna assign it to 0.
The for loop, this is what sends me through a loop.
I understand. And that's why I want to take my time to make sure y'all understand what is going on here. Because when we go over this a little bit at a time, this is going to help you to get your head around it. Because yes, it is confusing, and it confused me until I understood how to use them. So yes, I'm giving you the anatomy now. Later on, when we get to the for loop section, we'll go in depth. But I just want to let you know something about this shuttle name. I got this property added to it. This property is going to give me that length. And so if I run this, what did it do? It just looped through over that that determination and gave me string, because I wanted to, I put the type of in there, so it still lets me know it's a string. But it went over there and it did determination, and string is the last one because I got this console.log right there. And so it went through and it looped over shuttle every time, counting each one of these indexes. So it went, so let's count how many times so you can kind of see it. So I got 1, 2, let me okay. So I can point this out to you. All right, so let's look at this. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And there's another way I can do this. Matter of fact, let me do that. Let me do it the easier way. Instead of me doing it that way. I want to count these, right? So let me do this. Let me do it the easy way. Back. There we go. All right, so this is the quickest, this is the way I could do this. I could do it like this. It breaks down each one of the letters. So determination, right? And so what I could do, because console log is your friend, and I highly, once we get into this, I want to, so you can understand how to see what things are going on. A lot of the reason why people struggle with understanding for loops because they don't see the magic work, and it's like magic to them. But console.log will break it down for you. All right. So here I got the console.log 1 for D. Matter of fact, let me do this so we can do them side by side. I got a syntax error because it won't let me do that. Let me do this real quick. This is what I'm. Is they gonna let me do that? No, I can't do it. So what I did here, all of these letters are stored in I, right? That's what it's doing. It's looping over shuttle name length, right? And it's looping over every last one of these letters. And so 1 is D, 2 is E. So it goes through and it gives me a number all the way down to 13. And so it looped over each and every last one of these letters because of this property length right here. That's how I was able to go ahead and break out each one of these letters. And I put a number by it to let you know how many times it looped over it. So that's just a little quick example. I just want to kind of let you see that. That makes sense? I know it don't make total sense right now, but I was just doing that just kind of to illustrate. So until we get down to that point, right now, that's not going to be a whole lot of help for you right now. But I just kind of wanted you to see that this shuttle name right here is an object because I was able to use the property .length. All right. So let's go through and let's create all of these variables right here. So we got one already done. So what is the next one?
Shuttle speed.
So how am I write that? I'm gonna put a keyword let in front of it, right? And remember, when you're creating variables, make sure you camel case variable. That's, you could do Pascal's case where you could put the first letter as a capital, but we don't want to do that when we're doing variables. We want to use camel case, and camel case is The first word is lowercase, and then every word after that is capitalized. And we'll see that in a minute. And so here, I want to assign it what? A value.
Right, a value.
And what I'm going to assign it?
17,500.
Okay, so we're going to assign it a number.
A number.
Now, it may be a number, it could be a string, but we'll do a number for right now. And really, it needs to be a string. You know why it needs to be a string?
I was wondering about that.
Okay, let's do it like this. So this is, we kind of taught this to you. This has a different meaning right here. And as you already can see, it's already giving me variable declaration expected. All right, so I'm putting this number 17,500. 17,500. So let me do a console.log. And like I said, this is definitely in the chapter. So I'm going to go ahead and console.log with this and see what happens. So it's telling me that's an error. It won't let me even do the error because it's not even seeing that comma. This comma is an error right there. So if I do it like this, because that's two different values.
Right.
So that's why the comma is a separator. So in order for me to do 17,000, I can't put the comma in there, or 17,500. I got to leave the comma out. Can't add the comma because it's going to separate it. So when the compiler sees it, it sees that comma. So let me do, if I do put the comma there, I will have to wrap it in a string, right? So if I make it a string and write, look what it did. It printed out, but it's a string. It's not a number.
Right.
And so if I did it as a number, this is going to be another value. Now, the reason why it's giving me an error with the 5, because it sees a whole nother number as well. So this is what it says, syntax error. It's 3 types of errors that you're going to come across in programming. And that is going to be compile time, runtime, and logic. Well, when syntax error falls into the compile time, don't even compile it because there's an error right there. So in order for me to make this work, I will have to leave the comma out. That makes sense?
Yep.
So what's the next variable?
Let distance to Mars.
Okay.
With your variable.
And you notice here, it has 3 basically words in it, right? So I will write it like distance. So that's 3 different words. So I will camel case the second word. And this time it wants 25 million. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So, and we may have to modify this as we go through the exercise. But right now, we just want to kind of get things set up because we're declaring and assigning our variables here. And this is declaring and assigning the variable once I give it a value. If I was just declaring a variable, how would I just declare a variable? So the next one, I just want to declare it. How would I do that?
You would say, let distance to the moon. And that's it.
Is that it?
To declare it.
Put the assignment operator, and then you put like the 2 quotes and then the semicolon.
I just want to declare it. I just need a semicolon.
Oh, that's right. Semicolon. Yeah.
That's it. That's how you declare a variable. That's all you have to do when you declare a variable.
Okay.
Just give it the name with a semicolon. Now, when I say assign it a value, which it says right, declare and sign the value, then that's when I'll come in here and add the assignment operator and I'll give it the value.
Okay.
And I'm believing that these are all going to be strings, but we're going to see when we get further down into the instruction. So now when you hear just declare, all you got to do is give it the variable name with a semicolon. So the last one is, and notice that the first The first word is lowercase, and the second and the third, I capitalized. So this is just to be human readable for us, so we can read it. This is all it is. For the computer, it doesn't see none of that. It's all being converted. So now look at this one. This is 0.621. And so now if I come down here and I do console.log, put this in it. And remember, when you put variables inside of console.log, you don't need to put it inside quotes or anything, because sometimes that hems people up when they're trying to figure out what's going on, and they put quotes around variables. You notice that gave me a number, that point. It won't do it with a comma, but with a point, it still reads it as a number. All right? All right, so now what we did the first part, declare and assign the variables. Like I said, we may have to do some fixing this in a minute, because we're going to go to the next thing. So let me go ahead and get rid of this. I just commented out because I might need a console.log later. So the next part says here, and now this is giving us parts right here, sections. We have A, we have B, we have C, we have D, we have E, right? And so we're going to take it in chunks, one step at a time. Always remember that. So we already did part A. This is part A right here, declare and assign a variable with each item in the list above. We did that already. And it gives you a hint here. When declaring and assigning your variables, remember that you will need to use that variable throughout the rest of the exercise. Make sure that you're using the correct data type. Now, this is a data type right here. On the left, everything on the left, these are your data types. Determination is a string, because that's a name. Speed, we think of speed as being a number, right? So that's why we put 17. So we're doing this as a number. So how do I know? I want to check all of this, right? So what I'm going to do is always use your count. See, and I'm just going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm just going to go ahead and console log, because I want to see all of these, which I should have did this first. So let me, I meant to do it like this first. So let me go down here, and then I'm going to do shuttle name. Type of shuttle speed. And take it, this is why you want to play around with this, because you want to understand this as you go further, right? You don't take your time. Like I said, you go at your pace when you learn this stuff, and until you get the passion for it. Eventually you're going to go further, because after a while you're going to be like, okay, I have the passion. The hard part right now is understanding these little small nuances that keep you from wanting to go further. So now when I run this, it tells me the type of. That's why I want to play around with it. I want to see the type of each one of these. I know that that's a string. So here we wanted to check our data type. That's why I ran those console.logs, because I want to check the data type. Type of lets us know the data type. So now we're going to go over here to B. Now it says use console.log to print the type of each variable, print one item per line. Well, we just did that, right? So we did this part 2 right here. So let's move this down to part 2. And if you're on a Mac, it's Command X to cut it out and store it to the board. Now, if you're wondering how I was able to comment all of these out at the same time, I highlighted it and I did Command / on the Mac. Now, if you're on a PC, it's going to be Control / also Control X if you want to cut it out. So I'm following these little bitty instructions that it's giving me. It says use console.log to print the type of each variable, print one item per line. And so I did that. So So we did that and then we ran our replit. So we've already checked it. So we're following the actual instructions, right? So now we're going down to C. Calculate a space mission. So here, it says code your solution to exercise 3 and 4 here. So exercises 3 and 4. So here, let's look at C. Create and assign a miles to Mars variable. You can get the miles to Mars variable multiplying the distance to Mars in kilometers by the miles per kilometer. Now, did that make sense to y'all? I just read.
I mean, it does now. When I was going through it, it was a little confusing.
Okay, then explain it to me. How should I do this? Create and assign a miles to, let me make this shorter for a second so we can see this. We created all of these variables, declared and assigned the variables, and we have the shuttle name, shuttle speed, distance to Mars, distance to the moon. That's what those were called, right? Mm-hmm. And then we want to put miles is supposed to be miles per hour, kilometers and kilometers, and then miles per kilometer. That was the last one, right? Mm-hmm. That was the data type. So, and then we did what it says here, declare and assign variables for each item in the list above, which we did that. That's what we did. And then we console.log each one of them to see what our data types are. So we printed that out at the bottom. So now let's read the instructions. It says create and assign a miles to Mars variable. Let me see here. We got distance to Mars, and this was called distance to Mars, but I want to do what? And then distance to Mars in kilometers, but it's telling me to create and assign. So what does that mean when it says create and assign? What should you be doing right now?
You should be saying let miles to Mars.
Uh-huh.
Then the assignment operator.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we did that. We created the first part. Mm-hmm. And it says you can get the miles to Mars by multiplying the distance to Mars in kilometers by the miles. So the distance. So we would say multiply distance to Mars. So say distance to Mars.
Mm-hmm.
Times kilometers by the miles per kilometer. So yeah, miles per kilometer, which is 0.621.
Okay. And always end with a semicolon, right? Mm-hmm. So we just created a formula. What is this called right here? What we just did, what is that called?
An expression.
There we go. An expression. And all this expression is going to do, let's check it. You always want to check your code. All it's going to do is store the value inside Mars, miles to Mars. So if I go, let me go ahead and comment this out because I don't need all of that right now. So my output should be whatever the distance to Mars times miles per kilometer. I should get this. So you got your calculators?
So can we just not console log it?
Can, but you want to know what the output is, right? So let's go ahead. Let's kind of say, okay, this is what it should be. So let me do distance to Mars.
That's it. 225.
I'm going to get calculator. Can I paste that? Nope, I can't. What's the distance to, let me get it. The distance to Mars is Uh,
225 million.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And I want to times that by 0.621. This is checking my logic, right? So this is what I should get, right? I should be getting 100. What is it? I should be getting 139 million. That's what it should be, right? All right, so let's check our logic. Because I don't have any errors right now. So there won't be any compile time error because I don't have any errors right now. And also too, I don't have it, it's gonna run because I'm about to find out if it's gonna be a runtime error because it'll give me an error. But if it works, now my only other error, if my logic is not right, would be a logic error because it doesn't give you any warning. It doesn't tell you that it's wrong. You just have to calculate it to make sure your logic is correct. Is that it? Boom. It worked and your logic worked, right? So that makes sense, right?
Yes.
So we tested it. You always want to keep testing. Every time you write a little piece of code, test it. So what we just did was we got part A done for a calculate space mission. Now we got to do part B. Okay, for 3 and 4. Okay, so here it says next, we need a variable to hold the hours it would take to get to Mars. To get the hours, you need to divide the miles to Mars by the shuttle speed. All right, so we need to create another variable, right? What are we going to create here? Because look at the clues here. The clue is what? We need a variable to hold. You see how it's worded differently, but it still wants the same result?
Yeah.
You got it. That's what you want to pick up on. We need a variable to hold the hours it takes. So what's the name of this variable going to be?
This new one is, yeah.
Huh?
Sorry, Wilkins, you go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say let hours to Mars. What you think, Yang? Is that good?
Yeah, I totally agree.
Okay,
hours to Mars. Because naming variables is a challenge. I ain't gonna lie. That's why it's okay to make them long. Make sure they're descriptive. That sounds pretty descriptive to me. Hours to Mars. So it says, how you doing, Brandisha?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Hey, chime in, ask questions. We're just going over the exercise in 4.9, data and variables. Have you had a chance to do the exercises?
Not this one.
No. All right. So I'm gonna do the first exercise, but going forward, next week we'll do studios. I just want to get y'all an understanding how to walk through an exercise. Right. So here, we got the variable, we did that. Now get the hours you need to divide the miles to Mars by the shuttle speed. So here we go. The distance to Mars is right here, right? So what do I need to do? I need to, it says here,
Mars,
it says
divided by shuttle speed.
Okay, so I need that variable, right? So I need that variable distance to Mars. And how do I divide?
The forward slash.
Forward slash.
All right. And I'm dividing it by what?
Shuttle speed.
Okay, shuttle speed is right here. Okay. Now somebody, I got a calculator. Who got the calculator? Who got the calculator? Do I need to put the calculator up there? Do y'all want me to calculate again?
I can calculate that.
All right, calculate that and tell us what the output's supposed to be and put it inside the chat. Give us the number inside the chat so we all prepare.
Divide by shuttle speed. Okay, so let's see if this is right.
Okay, let's see what the response is. Everybody look into the chat when she pops it in.
So, could be wrong. Let's check it out.
All right, so that's what it's supposed to be, right? Now it won't have the comma, but we get the point because remember, it's not going to see that comma. So here, if I go ahead and run, I got to do this one this time. So I'm going to console.log this, and I run it. Look at that. Would you look at that? Wait a minute. Let me see something here. 12. So it should be 12,857.142, and it rounded up because you notice it rounded up, right?
Yeah, I see that.
There we go. It rounded up. So we'll talk about floor and how to do all that stuff later on. So, but this gave us everything, right? It gave us all the way down to so many places, but it rounded up to 14.9. So that's correct, right? So we're cooking with gas, right? The next part of this, finally declare a variable and assign it the value of days tomorrow. And again, pay attention here. This is the power of these variables. Y'all see the power of it? All I got to do is create them up here, declare and initialize them, and I can use them as many times as I want to. I don't have to keep going in here and putting in the numbers. All I got to do is put the variable right there that's holding the value, right?
Mm-hmm.
So notice how this is worded differently from B. You see, A has assign miles, B says need a variable to hold the hours. C says finally declare a variable and assign it the value of days tomorrow. You see, understanding what we're asking you is always going to be the challenge when you're new at this. But I want to teach you how to find the clues. Pay attention to what is said, and do that in anything in life. You know, have you ever heard of those people that seem like they can solve these puzzles and these riddles? They're really good at solving puzzles and riddles. You know why? Because they pay attention to the details. They pay attention to what is said, and they understand what each word means and how it's supposed to be applied. You understand, don't memorize the syntax. That's not what we want you to do. We want you to understand what we're asking you. You noticed here A, B, and C. We asked you it 3 different ways, but we want the exact same result. You see what I'm saying? It don't say declare an A. It just says create. But we say declare down here. But yet it gets the exact same result. This is what a lot of people, when they start learning programming and go through this curriculum, they gloss over this because they don't know what they're looking for. So you're new to chapter 4. You're not going to see this. This is not going to stand out at you. You're just going to be reading and then be like, oh, what does they mean? What do they mean? What do they mean? Because you don't know that I need to, when I read this, look for the clues. So here, finally, I got to create another variable. Somebody tell me how to create this next variable. Since you hopped in, Brandisha, you want to tell me, read seat for me and tell me I'm driving, you're navigating. Tell me what to write.
Let days to Mars.
Okay.
Equal sign.
And don't call it an equal sign. What do we call it?
I forgot. I wrote this in my notes.
That's okay. Assignment operator.
Okay.
Always assignment operator.
Assignment operator.
There we go. Because look, let me pay attention. You see that word assign right there?
Yes.
Think an assignment operator. Another way you should be thinking is when we said right here, we know hold means that it needs to go inside of a variable. It says we need a variable to hold the hours it would take to get to the Mars. And so right here, this is a stronger one because it says assign. It says assign up here as well. But down here, it doesn't say assign. But the reason why we know we want to do something because of this word hold. Assigning is basically placing the value inside the container. So get this, understand all of these because this is going to help you out down the road. Okay, so go ahead and finish.
And then days to Mars divided by hours to Mars.
Okay, so up here, it tells us we had days to Mars, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it says days to Mars. So let's look at this, y'all. Finally, declare a variable and assign it the value of days to Mars. We got days to Mars right here. And it says declare a variable and assign it the value days to Mars. So we want to assign a value, value of days to Mars in order to get the days it would take to reach Mars. You would need to divide the hours it takes.
Yeah, hours to Mars divided by each Mars. Hours to Mars divided by 24.
Mm-hmm. Now, this is going to take some calculations here. So now we got to go by what you understand in real world. All right, so that's something. Let's think about this for a second. Anybody else? Do you want to first, Brandisha, do you understand what it's saying? Do you know how to make this calculation?
Yeah, I'm on my phone though, so I don't have the book up in front of me. But
you can see it right here. So you need to see what we're. Okay, so here we go.
Yeah.
So it's saying that we need to get. We need to divide the hours it takes to reach Mars. So we've already got a variable right here, right?
Right.
Okay. So how do you do this?
Would you put hours to Mars divided by 24, then the semicolon?
Okay, let's see. Now, this is what we call hard coding. There's another way, and I want to make sure y'all understand this. So if I did this, let's check days to Mars. All right. So it says 535 days, 714, that's the number, right? So hours to Mars was 12,857. 12,857.1429. So if I go over here, let's calculate this. So let's calculate 12,857.14. Do that. How do I get that over here? All of it. Oh, okay, cool. 149,142.9. And then we got to divide it, right?
Yeah.
And we divide it by 24. Okay, so that's what we want, right?
Right.
That's the value, right? So that's the answer we got back. 7142, 7142. Okay. Now we got that 24 right there, because we did the number 24, right?
Right.
All right. So we hard coded that in. So let's kind of go over this one more time, just to make sure we did that. Because we got a check solution here, if y'all ever checked your solution. But that's it says finally declare a variable and assign it the value of days to Mars. Declare a variable and assign it the value of days to Mars in order to get the days it will take to reach Mars. You need to divide hours it will take to reach Mars by 24. So another thing that we can do, and we can have this thing print out, because see here, it's going to tell us how to print out everything here. So they gave us the number 24, assuming 24 is a number, or it could be hours, right? So it can be hours. We can do a variable to store 24 in, right? The number 24. So it takes 24 hours to make a day, right?
Right.
And it takes 365 days for a year. It's actually what we had earlier. That's the simplest way to do it, right? That other way I was taking us all over the place. Matter of fact, let's see what the solution says. Let's look at our solution. Let me make this bigger. Have y'all looked at the solution yet?
Yeah, I did have a chance to look at it.
Yeah, and that's what you did right there, Brandisha. So they gave you the way that they would have done it. But like I was saying, that I would have put it in a variable. You always want to put stuff in variables instead of hard coding stuff in. But we got that done. And sorry to everybody else that's watching this on the video for me doing that long way around. So here we go. It says print out the results of your calculation. Using variables from above, print to the screen a sentence that says this right here. So let me ask you a question. How would I do this? What's the key word? What is it telling you here? What's the key word here? Print.
Yeah, looks like the key word is print.
And what do you need to do when you see the keyword print?
Console log.
There we go. So we already have one there. What I'm gonna do is copy this string for a second. Now I'm going to replace these dashes with variables. So what variables do I need to put in here? It says using variables from above, print to the screen a sentence that says blank will take blank days to reach Mars. So what variables should I be putting in here? I need some variables. What variables should I use? Let me make this. So we got a shuttle name, right? Could we put shuttle name right there?
So yeah, you would use shuttle name. And then the next one would be days to Mars.
Okay, now, this isn't all inside of a string. Now, we have these variables. How do I get access to those variables when I have it inside of a string? Do y'all remember? When you're inside of a string, matter of fact, is this kind of ringing a bell here? Or
like
what I could do is this. Will that work? Should I put the variables outside the quotes? Can I keep the variables inside the quotes?
So the variables don't go inside the quotes because that's not part of the string syntax. We're actually calling out a variable.
Mm-hmm.
So you would put the quotes before will take, or before and after will take.
Uh-huh.
And then again, days and and then you got the one after Mars.
Okay. Now, but now it's giving me some squiggly lines here. It's giving me some squiggly lines. If I hover over, it's expecting something here, a comma.
Oh yeah, you're right. Mm-hmm.
And the reason why, because I could concatenate here too. I can do, because you still need the commas, but the commas would break it up. But let's see if this is going to work. Give us back what we want. We should have destination will take whatever that formula is to reach Mars.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. Destination will take blank days to reach Mars. So we did that part. So we satisfied and this is what we call satisfied the what we call satisfying the AC, your story. So the last part here says, now calculate a trip to the moon. We need to repeat the calculations, but this time determine the number of days it would take to travel to the moon and print to the screen a sentence that will say, blank will take blank days to moon. So basically, we're just repeating what we did in C. Right?
Yeah.
Because it says repeat. So think about it. So let's look up here. What do we have? We have the distance to the moon. Here, we did what? Miles. So we'll do a variable called miles to the moon, right? That makes sense?
Mm-hmm. You're right.
Miles to. And this, I need that formula. So if we miles to Mars, I need distance to the moon. And it says what? Times miles per kilometer. So is that what I need to get distance to Mars? So miles times kilometers is right here, right? So I'm going to do the exact same thing. Now I would copy and paste this, but I want y'all to get in the habit of kind of typing a lot of this stuff out, even though I'm pasting those variable names because I don't want to misspell them. So what I want to do is every time when you do a little piece of code, you want to check it, right? But I want to make sure it's doing what I think it should be doing, because you don't want to write all this code and then you get down to start running it and it don't work. You want to make sure you take it one step at a time and you want to make sure that it works. So here, if I go ahead, let me go ahead and comment this one out because I don't need that to see that. So it gives me the distance. So my formula is working. I'm assuming it's working because I didn't calculate it, right? You always want to do your calculations. So the next thing I want to do, you want to do another variable called, what this one called, it says hours to Mars, but I don't want to do hours to Mars. I want to do hours to the moon, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hours to the moon. And that formula was what? We said distance. So it said distance to Mars divided by the shuttle speed. I want distance to the moon And so I just need to put that variable shuttle speed, right?
Yeah.
All right. All right. I want to check our work. Let's make sure this calculation is working properly. And you definitely want to pop out your calculators too, because we want to make sure that logic is correct. And then I can reuse this one right here. Matter of fact, I can reuse this whole thing right here. And so instead of days to Mars, and like I said, y'all don't do the copy and paste. I need to go ahead and put stuff out. So days to the moon. And then I was
have part of Mars on there.
Yeah, right here.
Days to Mars soon.
Like that?
No, on 35 you misspelled it.
What? Oh, okay. I did. Well, let me get that. Cause that wouldn't have worked. All right, so now let me cancel that log and let's see if we're getting some here. All right, so this is it's because it's gonna be short of time because the moon is not too far from us, right? So now I'm gonna go ahead and take this one right here, just save us some time. And then I'm gonna change out, I'm gonna keep the shuttle name, and then I just want to do days to the moon. Then I'm gonna put days to the moon. That would have said how many days. Okay. So now if I run this, destination will take this many days to reach the moon. All right. All right. I still want y'all to play around with that formula. Come up with a good formula to just represent day. If you could do it just breaking it down to seconds, the minutes, the hours. Come up with that form. I'm gonna have to play around with it myself so I can make sure I do it correctly too. That might have been the way to do it, but I'm not 100% sure. I'm gonna have to play around with it to make sure I did it right too. But play around with this to get different ways to make this more efficient. Like instead of putting 24 like we did here, I put 24 in the variable and I just put the word day. And so everything is working, right? We got through the exercise. Mm-hmm. Now, anybody, I have any questions? So if I go ahead and comment this back in, and I run it. Oh, I'm using, yeah, here's an example. What does this say? This is syntax error. What did I do wrong here? How can I fix that error?
Hours in the day. You could change it to hours in the day because it says the day has already declared.
Yep, I could do that. Or because I've already declared day once with let, I just remove the let because all of this is global. That's why I'm getting that error. Getting the error because you can't do let day twice in the same scope. They would have to be in separate scopes for you to do that. And because all of this is global, they're not inside functions or anything like there are for loops. They're not inside some block of code. So this is all considered global. So another thing I could have did to even make this even better, I could do this. Take this right here. Matter of fact, get rid of it here and get rid of it here. And just put it there. Same thing. So I didn't have to repeat myself and put it inside the code like that. Make sense?
Yeah.
Yep. All I did was declare it earlier. And that's the same way you could do with your formula. breaking down how to write the formula for minutes, days, seconds. I highly recommend practice that, because that's going to help you down the road. Trust me, because you're going to have to understand how to write these formulas, because especially when converting Fahrenheit to Celsius and same back and forth, play around with that. Is all it's doing is exercising your mind to solve problems. That's all we're doing. All right, so does this make sense? We did our exercise for our data and variables. Like I said, I'm gonna move at y'all pace. I'm gonna do a little bit at a time. But now, if you find yourself going past this, just reach out to me and we'll talk about it one-on-one. The reason why I want to do it that way, because I don't want to put time pressure on you. Okay, y'all got to have this done by a certain time. Everybody learns differently. Everybody's schedule is different. And the thing is, I'm moving at your pace. Now, take advantage of this, because our group is small. Now, when we get to like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 people in the group, that's where y'all going to come in to help teach the new people. Make sense? We're building a community here. And so all of you are the foundation of this community. And we're going to bring as many people in here, once y'all get it and understand it, to help teach other people. So that's what we're doing. We're building a community.
Okay.
All right. All right, then. So I'm going to stop the video there. And I'll stop sharing since y'all don't have any more questions. Do y'all have any questions?